Well, hello everybody. Welcome to this fabulous Monday, last day of the third quarter, first day of the fourth quarter. The sky is finally falling in the cannabis space as we saw two of our four indexes open, gapping down to 20%. Looking at this on my NDI just to start here. Let's start with the bad news. This is the 5-day look on each of these charts. The large cap index here is down, actually, it's only down 4.8%. The small cap index, however, is down 21.58%, and the CSE index is down 21%. Those are how they opened today. If you look at those gaps here, like, look at that. Oh my God. What's
Not
going
good.
on, Ed?
Well, you know what? Look at.
The sky is falling.
Bubbles never end well, and I think the more we see this kind of action, I've come to the conclusion that we saw a bubble. We saw wealth created very rapidly, indiscriminately. We saw craziness on Bay Street with.
Now, are you talking in the last week, or are you talking like in the last 10 years?
No, I'm talking about a year and a half ago. We saw this activity. Like we saw major companies come into the marijuana space, Constellation Brands. We saw tobacco companies. Now there's problems with Juul. There's problems with this.
Juul is essentially a self-poisoning device, which is interesting, you know. So finally they come out with this tobacco alternative, which they find out is they build and market it as a less harmful alternative to tobacco. Now it turns out that it's in fact more harmful than tobacco in a shorter time frame, potentially, for a certain subset of human beings. And there's no way you can come up and say, see, I told you cigarettes were good for you. But that is exactly what the knee-jerk response of the market is like, see, cigarettes aren't that bad for you.
As you walk out of the, there's a spot in the concourse where there's a sign up for Juul, and it says, no additive, no tar, no this, no that. In other words, espousing its
virtuous nature.
Exactly.
Pristine composition.
You know what? I don't understand how this product got out so fast. Like, how does this happen? I mean, do they just...
Population control. It's a population control device foisted upon us by the, let's call it the CFTC, who is also ruining the price of gold today, damn it. No?
Yeah, okay. Look, at the end of the day, there's been damage done. We look at some of these things. You mentioned one... you said they were on the show and it was $4. It's now 14 cents.
Yeah, Dionymed. Let's pull up a Dionymed chart here. Well, actually, we'll get to the charts. Tell you what, let's start with the S&P, Ed.
All right.
Tell me about that, because that's
well, it's moving higher today.
Yeah,
up 16 points. So here we go. Like we right now we got a 3-month chart. We haven't taken out the highs of Friday, even though Friday, we're looking at it on a candle here, red candle Friday.
Oh, you don't have your NDI happening there, Edward.
I don't?
No. Okay, I'm looking at the SPX over here on mine, and this is just intraday. Oh, wait a sec. There's the beginning of today right here. So you can see that, yeah, it's definitely in an update, but I mean, I don't know if I believe it.
Well, look, it rallied late in the day on Friday. I thought that was a nice close. You got a big tail on that Friday's candle. And today, it's tried to rally, and now we got a bit of a wick. When I see wicks, big tails, what do I do immediately?
Sell.
I go get a drink. No.
You buy them another one.
We're going to see how this resolves here. This whole area here, remember, we've got this big consolidated month here in August. We got a move up, but it's been such a small move, and it corresponds to this. Like, I'm thinking we're going to, it looks like we're going to have some kind of head and shoulders top here. And if that S&P starts to roll over, that's got major implications for everything else. Mm-hmm. The whole thing is tied together. Hey, you know what else I noticed? I just want to mention this. Did you know there was a big fire in Saudi Arabia in their new train, their state-of-the-art train facility?
I didn't.
Yeah.
in Saudi Arabia.
And yeah, this
Those
shuttles
Iranians get lucky
people.
with a missile again?
I don't know. They shuttle people from Mecca to their second holiest city, back and forth, and this thing is on fire, and the smoke is billowing out. So you might want to take a look at that and see if there's any.
Oh, massive fire at Saudi high-speed train station injures at least 5.
Yeah, well,
Fire broke out at the Haramain high-speed rail station in Saudi Arabia's coastal city of Jeddah, injuring at least 5 people. The fire, which caused plumes of black smoke to rise from the roof of the station after the fire erupted, was brought under control 12 hours later. Well, that's interesting. So it doesn't quite seem like another Iranian missile attack.
Yeah, but all of a sudden, why is Saudi got problems? Like, what's going on here?
Well,
because you never hear anything from Saudi, right? It's such
except that they
cloaked in secrecy.
Murder journalists who just stop in for a marriage license.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean. Anyway, so today on the show, besides these fascinating tidbits of local geopolitical intrigue, we also have George Robinson here from RavenQuest BioMed, RQB on the CSE, one of our prized clients, to talk about the update and their imminent grand opening of the McGill University Cannabis Center of Excellence, which we are going to be at with cameras rolling, by invitation no less. And then Kelly Malcolm's going to be here. He's the Vice President of Exploration for Amex Exploration.
On the site a lot. He's on the site a lot.
Which, if you're not following what's going on with Amex Exploration, this is a stock that has gone from 15 cents to essentially $1.15 in the course of less than 1 year, based on incredible drill results. And we're talking 8 kilometers here of strike length, which in Quebec is...
But potential strike length.
No, I think he said strike length.
Did he?
Yeah.
But I mean, it hasn't all been drilled, so there may be gaps.
I think it has. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm... Jeez.
No.
Poetic license.
Politically. No, 8 kilometers of potential strike length, less. Yeah. But yes, so they've been drilling it. He says they're going to drill up to 50,000 meters in 2020.
No, this is going to be... Now, if this thing keeps finding it, it's going to get taken out.
Yeah. Do you own any shares? I recognize that look. I don't own any shares. I own some, but I sold them too soon. And now I'm going to try to buy them back at a much higher price, because especially today with gold in the crapper, I think today's a great day to buy.
Well, it was $1.40 2 days ago. Yeah. Right now it's $1.10, $1.12. I think.
Are you talking gold?
No, I'm talking. You know what I'm talking? Talking about the way she looked.
Talking about revolution. Hell, you know. We all want to change the world.
Yeah.
Anyways, Amex Exploration currently trading at $1.12. I'm not telling you to buy the stock. I'm telling you that I would like to buy the stock again as soon as I am somewhat liquid.
Yeah, well, we're going to have another. We're going to get. We got to go sit down with Victor.
Yes, but anyways, I'm also on day 43 of not drinking or smoking anything. This is me 43 days with 0 intoxicants.
I went to 56. That's my record in the last.
43 is tying my old record.
You're breaking your record.
This is the 3rd time in my life I've been this sober.
Look at the money you're saving too, though.
I don't feel like I'm saving any money.
Why?
Well, just because you're not saving or not spending it doesn't mean you're saving it.
Well, are you spending it on something else?
Well, not yet.
Are you drinking like Sprite or something?
Actually, I've been drinking pomegranate juice. Have you tried pomegranate? Yeah. You know what it tastes like to me?
Palm. That's those red.
No. Pomegranate with the little red seeds.
No. But it's in a clear bottle with it's like a snowman.
No. That's that other cheesy Pomerol. Oh. What's it called? Pomerol?
Palm.
But it's mixed with apple juice, right?
No. What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me is I haven't had a drink in 42 days. What the hell's wrong with you?
I remember I was actually talking to myself at day 53 thinking,
this is not good.
This is bullshit.
I know. All my friends have dumped me. Here's Laura McCallum with today's news.
Okay.
Here's what's making cannabis headlines this Monday, September 30th, 2019. Ianthus Capital Holdings announced that Gotham Green Partners has invested an additional $20 million through the purchase of senior secured convertible notes from Ianthus. GGP's investment is part of a broader $1 million financing plan to support the build-out of all existing markets in which the company operates. Zenabis Global has entered into a definitive agreement with Pax Labs. Zenabis will supply cannabis extracts for Pax AeraPods, designed for use with the Pax Era vaporizer device. This agreement will make Zenabis the fifth and only additional licensed producer to launch Pax AeraPods later this year. Trulieve Cannabis Corp has opened a storefront in Largo, Florida. Trulieve now operates 35 dispensaries throughout the state of Florida, including in the nearby communities of Clearwater, Clearwater Beach, St. Petersburg, and Tampa. Cresco Labs announced that its 3 cultivation facilities in the state of Illinois have been approved for growing adult use cannabis by the Illinois Department of Agriculture. The 3 facilities can represent a total combined cultivation space at completion of 630,000 square feet per Illinois state regulations. Avocana Inc. announced plans to build a new industrial-scale 11,000 square foot cannabinoid extraction and final product manufacturing facility in a Colombian free trade zone near Santa Marta. This new facility builds on the property's existing subsidiaries' extraction and manufacturing operations in Colombia, with current aggregate annual capacity of dried flower at approximately 100,000 kilograms. The operation of the new facility will be conducted under a proper new subsidiary, which will be 60% owned by the company. 1933 Industries has commenced the flowering cycle of its cannabis plants in its new indoor cultivation facility located in Las Vegas, Nevada. The first harvest from the initial 3 rooms is expected in early December, with continued harvests thereafter every 2 weeks, all while new grow rooms are added in the facility for a total of 15 bloom rooms. Harvest Health and Recreation announced the opening of Harvest of Venice, expanding their footprint in the California market. Harvest product offerings will now be available to the community of Venice, California. And that's your news for today. To keep up to date with all things cannabis, visit the Cannabis Daily on MidasLetter.com.
Do a few things, but nothing
Anyways,
crazy.
so it's amazing to me that anybody is putting out any news to do with vaping at this point. Just because the jury is so out on that,
Right.
the controversy growing around vaping so intense. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that people are actually, companies are trying to position themselves as, ahead of the, outside of the controversy. Certainly our client Halo has got the Dab Tab and the Shatterizer, which is a different form of vaping. Can we say unequivocally that it's harmless? Obviously we can't make that call because we're not scientists, right? But, it's not a good time to be promoting vaping.
No.
What is it a good time to be promoting? Well, I'll tell you what, the price of gold, Ed. Now pull up a gold chart,
Okay,
will you?
let's do it. Let's do it. While we're hot.
While we're at it,
This is
I want to talk about the price of gold. Now gold,
So we're already. Now this is not really. Okay, there's a 3 months, and in 3 months we've done very little, but we've come off. And this tracks gold. Okay, it's the big ETF, but there's the top. We had a sharp drop, rallied, sort of got there, a little bit, but then fell again. We got to hold some level here. I think we've pierced it here a bit. It's short term. It's down right now. Short term, it's down. The question is
Now,
how far.
if you consider that investing in gold is investing in a manipulated, tightly controlled marketplace where the CFTC actually fails to regulate the futures market, thereby enabling the paper representation of gold to exponentially outweigh the influence of the physical trading in gold, and the paper trading obviously subject to all kinds of machinations and fabricated transactions. So, I mean, you can make money in gold, but you have to be aware that you're doing so in a completely compromised market. So when I trade in gold, it's not a case of I'm fundamentally looking at what's going on in the geopolitical landscape. I'm looking at the forces that be the US dollar interest, the largest capital pools, and trying to say now, what is it within their interest for the price of gold to be this week? And is it in their interest to let it spike? Is it in their interest to, let it drop? Are they short covering? Are they,
Look,
are they pulling the calls?
If you go back and study what happened in the when gold peaked in the late 70s, and then for 20 years, so from the early 80s, 80, 81, 82, all the way up to about 99, it was in a downward trend. That's 17 years. Like, there are down cycles in gold. And you know, gold's sort of broken out of a pattern. And
well, gold is always manipulated since, well, let's call it 1942. Was that the onset of the Bretton Woods Agreement? Anyways, don't quote me there. My memory is not to be relied upon.
Yeah.
But gold is either always manipulated by the government or the markets, or a combination of both. But I don't think there's at any point in the last 100 years where gold has not been subject to the manipulation of one or more government-affiliated or sponsored or actual enterprises. And this is the world we're living in.
Well, didn't they just? Now, what about these traders in New York that worked for, was it Morgan Stanley?
For J.P. Morgan.
J.P. Morgan. I hope I don't get anybody in trouble here for saying, but they both have Morgan in them, right?
Well, Morgan Stanley.
What?
You know that J.P. Morgan was forced to divest itself of its trading because they had to separate their banking from their, and that's how Morgan Stanley was born.
Really? So this guy Morgan was something else, eh?
Well, never mind him. What about Stanley?
Stanley Steamer.
He was something else.
Yeah.
Stanley Steamer. Yeah. But important to recognize, like, in the context of what's happening right now in the cannabis market, when you look at a 20% gap down on the open on the last day of the quarter, that is a substantial abdication of faith in terms of, you know, what institutional investors are thinking about the cannabis space. I mean, I think it's really a case of, okay, the sham is, the game is over, the jig is up, and cannabis prices are now going to reflect what their intrinsic value is. And that's, I'm paraphrasing, obviously, that's not what I'm saying, but that's what, if I was to be verbalizing what the market is saying to me about the cannabis space, I would say it's time to head for the exits in an orderly fashion. Do not run, walk quickly, and wait until you hear your teacher call you back in before you go back in there.
We were saying on one of the shows, was it last week, but soon after you got back, we said, if you're losing sleep, and really, I've been there, I've lost sleep. Losing sleep's no fun. As soon as you sell it, you'll stop thinking about it. If it's bugging you to the point where you can't sleep, or you're putting yourself in a potentially dangerous position financially, it's not worth it. Because at this stage, you could argue a lot of these things are still trading for more than what they're worth.
You could argue. Well, that's an interesting point. I mean, the market cap of, let's say, Canopy, for example, is now trading at about 10 billion, rather.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, no,
you say 10 million.
You were watching. It's really lost a lot of money.
Wow.
No, 10 billion. So it's down half. Down by half. So, I mean, if Canopy is a bellwether as representative of the valuation of the whole space, and it's down by half, the price of the entire sector is cut in half. And it's today opened up 20% lower in some cases. What does that tell you about the value of the whole sector? Like, I mean, I think that we could be seeing a situation much like 2008, but just isolated in the cannabis sector.
And remember, when gold didn't take off right away, when the markets got nailed in 2007-8, it sort of jigged. It went with everything else, but then when it looked like the world was falling apart, that's when gold caught a bid and went on its meteoric rise. Yeah, and went from basically, you know, I don't know, it more than doubled in that period, didn't it? It went from like $600-700 to $1,900 in 2011.
Yeah. Anyways, we had a chat with George Robinson just about 15 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago, an hour ago.
Maybe an hour and 15 minutes ago. And the longer you wait, it'll be longer.
RavenQuest BioMed is a diversified cannabis company with divisions focused upon cannabis production, management services and consulting, and specialized research and development. RavenQuest maintains a research partnership with McGill University focused on cultivar strain recognition, plant stabilization, and yield maximization of the cannabis plant. The company focuses on partnerships with indigenous communities. RavenQuest BioMed trades on the CSE under the symbol RQB.
George Robinson joins me now, CEO of RavenQuest Bio. George, welcome back.
Thanks for having me again, James.
Sure. George, let's have an update. What's the latest on RavenQuest?
Well, lots of really good news since the last time we got together. Obviously, the formal definitive agreement with our BioCare partners for all of our joint ventures out in Europe is moving along perfectly now. Really excited to see that moving forward. That's probably one of the most significant events that sees us in our movement out of Canada and into the Europe and really formalizing. You know, McGill University is really moving along. On October 17th, they're going to introduce the Center of Excellence for Cannabis. 92 researchers and a whole bunch of stuff, and we're there as one of their players and one of their industry partners. And we've helped them get their licenses. So now on the plant sciences side, they can start doing all the rest of the research that we want them to do. So we have this opportunity of balancing policy, which is Health Canada. We have the industry, and we have academia fully supporting us.
You helped McGill University get their license?
Yeah, we're a consulting firm, right?
That's just a testimony to your connectivity to the industry. That's really interesting. So we should come out and shoot that probably.
Absolutely, you should come out and see it. They have our gardens there, in fact, and now we just completed their CRA filings for them, along with their staff there. So the CRA filings, we'll be able to move plant material from our facility to theirs very shortly. So it's very exciting. So now we get to push forward on all those things that we've wanted to do on the research side that we're waiting for this one license to complete.
Yeah. Are you? Are they planning to mostly conduct research, or are they actually going to produce cannabis and sell it?
No. They have no need for that. They don't want any of that. So they're just going to do the research for us. And the beautiful part here is we own the intellectual property. They get to publish, and which we've already been doing with them. 2 papers already published with McGill already. So we get the IP, and they get to publish, and we've been funding that now for me, my private companies, and RavenQuest for 3 years with a $1.6 million federal grant also.
So are they sort of up to date and immersed in the orbital garden technology?
Absolutely. They have been watching it very closely. I remember we were able to take Dr. Simmerjeet Kaur from McGill. She was in the plant sciences side. She's working with us now. She's located out of our Edmonton facility while our gardens are. So that relationship back to McGill is always there. I mean, postdocs always keep in touch with postdocs.
Sure.
So yeah, so they're completely immersed in it. They've got the gardens. We actually had them build them, so they know exactly what to do. So we have a very good manual. So they're right down into the point of actually building them and getting those things up and running right now. So very exciting times.
Wow, that's fantastic. I'm curious as to what are the evolutionary possibilities within the orbital garden technology? I mean, I'm going to go see them for myself tomorrow, touch and feel.
Yeah.
But I'm curious as to is there further for this sort of technology to go, or is it kind of like at the peak of where it can be right now?
No, not at all. You know, we've started off with HPS. We've just finalized our research and development on our LED structure for these gardens. That'll take us from 2,400 watts on lighting down to 1,000 watts on lighting, and this is a light spectrum that we've designed ourselves in-house. We're having this manufactured, and the first lighting test R&D unit will be coming out to our facility in about 4 weeks. So that's the next set of evolution, because as we look at the market, we want to have a high-grade cannabis with the lowest possible cost. So if we can take another sort of 60% out of the electrical costs on the lighting side, which, as we've discussed before, you know, you have people, you have electrical, water, and nutrients as your 4 biggest cost of goods sold line items. We're going to take another shot of that. We're already 65% less lower. We're going to take another big chunk out of that. Then I think second to that, what we're starting to see is that there is no cultivar or strain that we can't grow in it. We've had everything from hybrids to high indica and high sativas in there. The test results from Health Canada have been we did from our own reporting and our inspection and audit from Health Canada went extremely well. They loved what they've seen. We had no issues there after the audit, and I can tell you the C of A's coming out of these gardens are 100% clean, like no detectable pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides, and the lowest levels that Health Canada has seen in the aflatoxins, mold, and yeast. And these are the areas, those last 3 pieces are the big pieces to make a really good medical product. And what I've said before, and I'll continue to say, if you start off with good plant material, you can make something better, such as good grapes makes great wine. So we're really concerned about that you make a great product, that you can turn it into anything from dried flower to consume to maybe a very good alternative or derived product, but it all has to come from great flower. But more importantly, what you're going to see is big buds the size as your hands dried.
Wow.
Yeah, so just those big buds in the tops are just turning out awesome.
Wow. And will there be a crop ready to harvest tomorrow?
I'm not sure. They were in the middle of a harvest, so we're going to see some of that going on. It's really absolutely uneventful because the plants are so small. You pull the trail, go clip, 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 take off a couple of fan leaves, and it's done. But you'll be there if they're doing that.
Uneventful for you, maybe, but that's an eventful.
Well, for the industry-wise, because we have no waste. What's really beautiful out where people are throwing pounds and pounds or kilograms of trimmed off material, we don't have any of that. In fact, anything that we trim off becomes trim package for us that would go into an extraction process. So it's nice not to have any waste, and we don't have a busy destruction room trying to get rid of waste material.
Sure. How does RavenQuest view the advent of mass outdoor growing in terms of a competitive sort of situation?
Well, you know, countries have been doing agriculture for a long time. It's another agricultural product, and there's obviously some very good upsides to it, and there's some risks. You still have a lot of crop that's sitting out there in right across Canada, Western Canada, Central Canada. Look at the temperature changes we've had. We've had high amounts of moisture and rain happening in Winnipeg. We've got snow in Calgary. What's going to happen to these crops that are not really resistant to all this other stuff? And if they do get a bad weather pattern, you can have mold and other issues come up with that. So I think there's a place for it. Agriculturally, anything outside is going to be a position. But if you take a look at the U.S. Price spot market for cannabis, they've already differentiated that for everyone. If you take a look at the indoor, it's getting about $1,500 a pound, greenhouse about $1,000, and outdoor about $750.
Just like the old days.
Just like the old days, we know exactly what it is. So we're going to continue to stay focused on that indoor growing. We see that as the market sifts itself out, you take away the hype, you take away everything else, people are going to pay high value for an indoor grown quality crop, and the orbital gardens deliver that. But I think more broadly, you know, what was really been interesting lately is when we've been having interesting phone calls coming from investment funds and other countries saying, George, if we got into cannabis, is there anything else that we can do with that? And the obvious answer is yes. There's perishable stuff that can be grown in them that we can also do. So the product is not necessarily stopped. Like we talk to people like yourself who get it. We're a technology company that grows cannabis. So with that, we can move that technology in a bunch of different ways. So, but right now we're focused on the cannabis space.
Right. Well, that's why we refer to you as our top technology, cannabis technology stock.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So then, what are the big sort of milestones still laying out here for the rest of 2019, and what can we look forward to in 2020 for RavenQuest?
Yeah, I think everything's executing to plan. So now, in the remainder of this calendar year, we're going to be wrapping up all of our cultivation spaces. Will be coming online, which I think is really good. You're going to see now forward movement with architectural engineering, lease-based assets in Portugal. You're going to see the movement on our intellectual property, on our live microbes, and our own contributions to the gardens that we've made. We've got a firm already working on that. So I think what you're going to see over the next 6 months is really, really good. Hitting our targets for our deliverables on cannabis sales, hitting our numbers on the consulting side as we look outside of Canada. And then you take a look at more prospectively on what we're going to do to actually make a very interesting company and take that technology and leverage it on a worldwide basis. That's what's really exciting right now. And I think most of the world has woken up to orbital gardening strategies versus a flat table environment.
Yeah, you bet. Run me through the economics one more time, because the cost inputs of the orbital garden system to me are the most remarkable thing at this point. And you say you're going to shave another 60% off of energy costs.
Yeah, so you kind of have to look at four things, and we did that when we started developing the business model for RavenQuest. There's four big pieces to the cogs. Remember, being a consultant that's seen the good, the bad, and the ugly about the early licensed producers. If you don't have a good handle on how many people you need to harvest and work with your crop base, if you don't have a good handle on electricity and then water, if you have to pay for it in nutrients, you're going to have a higher cost product. So first off, in our facility, 7,000 to 8,000 kilos off the get-go, and then we can expand by optimizing that out. We only use 16 people as harvesters in gardens and 5 people for administrative and maintenance work. So all of a sudden, versus anyone else who's in the flat table environment, that would be 40 to 60, maybe even 80 people in that environment. So we've already hit the cog space number one on the human resource side. The electricity side, remember, we're only dealing with 228 to 280 plants around that light source, and it's one light source that's very close, so we can reduce the power side. Go into the LED, that's great. You take a look at the other two, we only feed the plants once a day, so now we're at 90% less nutrient costs. So what does that mean in dollars and cents? 69 to 75 cents a gram without introducing the LED lights. So we think we're going to knock that off today. So I think those numbers are now in place to say that we'll take a run at anyone, be it indoor, greenhouse. We don't know what the costs are going to be to harvest an outdoor crops with all those people having to go outside and cut down those big plants and then shave them back. So, but I think that we're going to be in a nice place with a very good quality product that's meeting all the C of A's for the lowest indoor cost around.
Right. George, that's a fantastic update. Let's leave it there. Thanks very much for joining me today.
Thanks again.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Make sure you never miss a show by subscribing to our YouTube channel and clicking on the little notifications bell. If you're interested in getting monthly actionable investment ideas in the cannabis space to your inbox, subscribe to the newsletter at MidasLetter.com. Amazing. I read on our coming up in the elevator today.
Yeah.
There is occasionally some interesting little news items on the panel for us to read while we're coming up. And today I found it so interesting that I took a picture of it. And the headline, and this is absolutely world-shattering news, many fake interest to impress others. And I was looking at the headline and I'm like, many fake interest to impress. I'm thinking this is a typo of some sort or some, like many fake interest. What? Anyways.
You're faking not interest money, interest as in.
Feigning interest is what it would have said, but obviously they're writing for a lower grade level, so they used many fake interest.
But they should have said feign.
Well, many feign interest to impress
pretend.
others, and then the paragraph, the descriptor says, even if they aren't up to date with the latest trends, podcasts, or current events, 1 in 5 professionals say they have feigned interest to impress a colleague or client, a study found. Have you ever feigned interest to impress me, Ed? Because if you have,
what?
We're through.
We're through. Through what?
I find that remarkable.
Well, you know what? Some people pretend to care. In other words, some people aren't sincere. They're gushing all over and blah, blah, blah. But a lot of
everybody has their moments of insincerity.
Politicians are...
Well, I mean, if your neighbor comes over and says, oh my God, did you hear that Kim Kardashian got her head blown off by a sniper? And you have to feign interest. Otherwise, you run the risk of offending your neighbor.
I'm not good at feigning interest.
I think you are.
Well...
I've seen you feigning interest.
Yeah.
I've seen, particularly in most men, that I've noticed the proclivity towards feign interest in whatever a woman is saying, while their real interest lies in nothing to do with what she's saying. Rather, more to do with the topography present there in front of. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Just could be.
Yeah.
Anyways, so meanwhile, back in the chat rooms.
Okay. Back in the chat rooms.
There was Bob Daku said, FDA news on FDA regulations of cannabis and cannabis-derived products. Now, I was looking for that, but I wasn't able to find anything on the FDA site. Reefer Al Joint thinks that we need to go back to smoking weed before we start the show because it will put the pep back in our step.
Pep in our step.
I don't know about you, Ed, but my step has plenty of pep today for a Monday.
Yeah.
And that's particularly because I have not been partaking of any intoxicants for 42 days now, which soon is going to make me very weird indeed.
You think you're running into a sort of a fork in the road where you've sort of got the little horn guy on one and a little angel over here, and you're saying, you know what, you're ready to go into the ice cream parlor to get yourself a nice banana split, and then next to it there's a bar, and the guy with the pitchfork saying, "Come on, let's go have a drink. Come on." What do you think?
My mouth is watering. Is that a bad sign? Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, no, you know what? The thing that I keep comforting myself with is I can comfort myself with the knowledge
Don't tell me it's Southern Comfort.
No.
Because that's alcohol.
I know.
All right.
No, the thing that comforts me is that I know that at any minute I can quit not drinking.
I know.
Quit drinking. I can jump off the wagon anytime I like, and I can spring back onto it.
On the wagon?
Off the wagon. However, knowing it's that easy, I'm not quite ready to make such an easy leap. Yeah.
You know, like sort of when you started this, I thought, okay, here we go.
Started what?
This sort of this self-imposed ban on alcohol, like your own prohibition, if you will.
Right. You were thinking, oh, this should last a day.
Oh yeah, here we go. hey, James, I think you've been not drinking too much.
Want to go to the bar for a cup of coffee, glass of milk?
Let's go have some juice. Yeah, well, good for you. I say good for you. My record's 56 days.
56 days.
And I've had several 30-day episodes.
So your lifelong record is 56 consecutive days?
Well, I think when I was really young, like maybe 25 or 28 years old, I went 2.5 months because I was so broke I couldn't afford to drink.
Wow.
Isn't that funny, eh? If you're broke, you can't drink.
Well, but that's funny to me. What's even funnier is when you're down and out, sometimes the last thing you spend your money on is a drink because you're feeling so down.
Well, that's like people say, can you lend me some money? I'm out of cigarettes. Well, if you keep going on this path, you don't have to worry about borrowing money anymore.
Yeah. Just say, why don't you quit? Now's a good time to quit.
Yeah. True Leaf's opened another store, and they just keep announcing it down in Florida. I think they're up to 33 now.
Yeah.
And look at this, stock's down 50 cents on that news.
Yeah.
And that's a company that's got a substantial revenue base.
Yeah, I think what's happening, what's funny is last week they passed the House passed the Safe Banking Act. And what I think people failed to recognize is that now it goes to the Senate. So it's not a done deal yet.
No.
First it goes to the House, then it goes to the Senate, and then it's, if it passes, it becomes law on a certain date and goes into effect on a certain date, right? Not necessarily the same dates. So I think that the market went, whoa, wait a sec. Mind you, that shouldn't have been a monetizing, or rather a value catalyst to the sector anyways, because like, who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
But
interesting. The whole thing's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Lou 1990 says he's going to start a YouTube channel soon. That would be nice, actually. We'd go watch it, wouldn't we? We'd be fans.
Gotham Green is putting another $20 million into Ianthus.
Really?
I'm just reading it.
Wow.
That's a lot of money. But you're not seeing the 100 million come roaring in anymore. You're not seeing the big...
We saw Imperial Brands put $123 million into...
And 100 of that had to go back to Bank of Montreal.
Well, that's what's kind of funny, is it's like, wait a second here.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's just speculation, and let's not pull the wind out of anybody's sails.
Let's do an equity issue if you're, why do debent?
Well, if you...
WeedMD did a debenture.
A debenture?
Yeah, debenture.
A debenture. This is actually a good time to make an investment in cannabis if you believe that the great catalyst in the sky, which would be the deprohibition of cannabis in the United States, is in fact going to take markets higher. What do you think? What do you say, Ed? What do you say about that?
I think for the thing that I'm pretty sure of is that all those who smoke, let's say right now there's a bunch of people that smoke marijuana for pleasure. Forget about the medical side, because the medical side is totally, I think it has lots of blue sky. But there's only going to be so many people that want to be stoned. Some people don't want to be stoned. They want to be straight. And no matter what you bring out, I get it. I'm not talking about medical. I'm talking about
recreational.
Pursuing a hedonistic approach.
Interesting. Mr. Lou 1990 says Gotham Green will go bankrupt soon. Laugh my ass off.
There you go.
LMAO. Laugh my ass off?
Laugh my ass off.
Huh.
Or is he trying to give us a clue on a stock pick?
Gotham Green is not public. Ianthus is, though. Let's see how that news has affected Ianthus, shall we?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's check it out.
Let's do it right now.
Let's pull up that chart. IAN.
Yep.
Stock. Ianthus Capital. CSE.
And where does that trade?
CSE. Oh, it was not real well received. There was a slight bump in the stock at $1.89, but the stock opened at $1.95, $1.96, and is now trading at $1.85. So even that kind of good news is not enough to offset
That looks like a bottom move, though.
Well, you look at the very end of that chart, eh? Look at that. Looks like a reversal.
And now you got the RSI at 20, and it's sort of getting out. If it gaps down tomorrow, we got to be getting. I got to tell you, when it's looking so sure that it's going lower, that's when the bulls muster the rally cry, not mustard.
And they call out, "Master bait."
Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 out of the last 14 candles on Ianthus is red. That is rare. You don't see that very often. Well, it looks like we saw it here earlier.
Don't you think that the whole sector is kind of like that right now?
I know, but there is a bear contingent, and the bears, when any group starts making money too easily, usually the risk swings over to the other side. It's just like when the bulls were making money day after day after day. Look.
Well, let's see. I'm curious just to go look at in the CSE index. Let's go see who the big losers are who are pulling this index down by 20%. Cureleaf is down 7.27%. Green Thumb is down 5.7%. Harvest Health and Rec down 13.26. Look at that at $3.99. Boy, is that looking like a shaky foundation. Cresco Labs lost almost 10% today, down 73 cents to $7.07. Acreage Holdings down 8% to $7.40. Trulieve down 4. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Those are the largest companies by market cap on the CSE.
I think we're getting close to a rally, and you know what? Here we are, month end. So what do portfolios do? Or
Rebalance.
At the end of the month, they say, get this shit off the books. I don't care what you have to do, just get it off. We don't want to be looking stupid next month.
Right.
So there's a lot of that window. I guess that's
so
what
the
they
cannabis investor, manager of the cannabis fund, is saying, sell everything that's red.
Well, let's put up
And the trader's going, well, but that's everything. He says, I don't care, sell it anyways.
I'm going to put up the...
This is why we're getting the 20% drop-off in the beginning of the market, wouldn't you say, Ed? Is it's just like, clear the dead wood out of here. I don't care what.
Yeah. So here we got HMMJ. Look at this. HMMJ, this is the... let's put up a 3-month. Each one of these is 1 day, okay?
Yeah.
So look, we were at 14 and change. We're now breached the $12 mark. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's 10 out of about 13 candles are red. But look, eventually you got to have a bounce. I mean, we had bounces here, bounce here, and the bounces are getting fewer and far between.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, don't take this lightly. This can go a lot lower, and we're now going into tax law season.
Well, Brain Grid, I don't think can go much lower. It's at a penny.
I went to, I met those guys, Kadenoffs.
Yeah.
Michael and his dad.
I only met Michael.
You met the son.
Yeah, he was on the show.
Yeah, he's got a very, very big brain.
Too big.
Well, you know what? If you really are in that world where you're sort of in a very small minority because you have an aptitude for math and physics and engineering, et cetera, that may be the kiss of death for Bay Street. I'm not saying it is, but you are so different that you may,
Yeah, look at this. I'm looking at the list here of the cannabis stocks. Look at all these names that were formerly either high-flying or somewhat high-flying. Juju's at 2 cents,
Yeah.
BLGV, Afanor Growers at 2 cents, Platnex at 2 cents. Let's see, Prevceutical, 3 cents, Golden Leaf Holdings, 4 cents. Like these
Golden Leaf is at 4 cents?
Yeah.
I remember getting the pitch at around 75.
Yeah, same here. Alliance Growers, 4 cents. Believe is down at a nickel. Shark is down at 4 cents, though I always knew that thing was structurally difficult,
Compromised.
we'll say. Compromised. Crop Infrastructure, a nickel. Like these, it's lights out for these guys.
Well,
These guys are now shells.
and they can't raise money. I mean, who's
No.
going to raise the money? To raise $1 million, you got to issue 30 million shares.
Exactly.
Jeepers creepers.
I know.
And $1 million can't even pay your payroll for the next 2 months.
There you go. Anyways, so let's not talk about cannabis anymore today, shall we? Because it's far too depressing.
Okay, let's talk about gold. Let's talk about exploration in Western Quebec.
Gold exploration in Western Quebec? Why don't we talk to Kelly Malcolm? I think he knows a thing or two about it.
Is he here?
He just happens to be here now.
Jeez.
Kelly Malcolm joins me now. He's the Vice President of Exploration for Amex Exploration, trading on the TSX Venture under the symbol AMX. Kelly, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Kelly, the Amex Exploration Project has taken on a district-wide sort of potential in terms of what the perception is of observers. Tell me about the whole project and how it came to become such a big deal from no deal.
So we made our original discovery in December of 2018. That was a very high-grade zone called the Eastern Gold Zone. Since then, we've drilled about 20,000 meters into that zone specifically. In June of this past year, we decided to do some regional exploration work. So we started stepping out, testing different targets on the project, made 2 additional high-grade gold discoveries, and have really unlocked the potential of the property. Now we know that the entirety of the fault system is mineralized, and now it's a matter of testing those structures and expanding as we go.
Right. So it's sort of grown incrementally. What is the total strike length potential at this point?
So we've identified gold across 2.4 kilometers. We have untested 7 kilometers to the south and 8.4 kilometers to the north. Both structures are gold mineralized, and the majority of those structures have not seen any drilling or very limited drilling. So we're really excited about the exploration potential here and the district size potential that we have on this project.
Wow, so this thing is it's shaping up to be like one of the biggest gold discoveries certainly of the 2010 to 2020 period, if not even...
Absolutely, looking very, very prospective.
Yes.
It's looking like we're going to be able to build multiple deposits on this property. The geology is repeatable, the structures are repeatable, and we're hoping and going to test very shortly that we can identify multiple deposits along this very large strike length.
Right. So I would assume that you're not having a hard time attracting investors to this project.
No, we've certainly garnered a lot of interest. We've got about $3 million in the bank at the moment, so very sufficient capital to continue our aggressive exploration program using 2 drills. But there's certainly some interest from a number of different investors that would like to take a big position.
I've got some pictures of some of the core there, and that's visible gold we're seeing.
Beautiful visible gold. On the left, I think that sample graded 580 grams per ton over about half a meter. On the far right of that screen, that graded 677 grams over half a meter as well. So very, very high grade gold here.
And that's incredible. And does it originate at surface?
All of our zones start directly at surface, just below a thin layer of overburden. And the deepest that we've drilled to date is about 550 meters vertical depth. We announced a hole about 3 weeks ago now that graded 7 grams per ton over, I believe, 32 meters at a depth of about 550 meters. So this system is extensive vertically and now extensive over that 2.4 kilometer corridor of high-grade gold.
Sure. So what is the host system type?
So it's hosted in a rhyolite. It's a little bit unconventional for most gold deposits, and maybe that's why it was underlooked and underappreciated in the past. But the rhyolites fracture in a different way than the normal Abitibi greenstone rocks, and that may be why we're getting such a high accumulation of this very high-grade gold within these vein systems.
So the potential for this to sort of continue to demonstrate continuity across the entire strike length, is that something you're seeing in the sort of stratigraphic sort of layout of the whole system?
Sort of. So it's structurally controlled. There's primary faults, these 7 kilometer and the 8.4 kilometer one to the north. And what we're seeing is we're getting high grades where we get cross structures coming across those different structures. And when you look at other areas in the Abitibi Greenstone Belt, which is, by the way, the second most prolific producer of gold in the world in global history, when you get these 2 or 3 structures intersecting, that's often where you get your accumulation of high-grade gold. And these are typically repeatable over about 1 to 1.5 kilometers along these primary structures. And that's what we're targeting, is these different deposits along that primary belt.
How long till we see a preliminary economic assessment?
Well, our original goal when we started drilling on the Eastern Gold Zone was to aggressively and quickly drill off, not a PEA, but at least an inferred resource on the project. Once we started doing our regional exploration, we realized there's a lot of gold on this property, and it's our test now to test as much as we can of these 2 structures. And once we get a good handle on how much gold is on the property, then we'll work on our resource.
And I guess it's premature for any metallurgical testing at this point.
It is, but it's very much free milling gold. We see the gold very visually. When we see visible gold, it runs. When we don't see visible gold, it's quite low grade. So we think it's probably quite amenable to gravity methods, which is very simple metallurgy.
Sure. Okay, and so how much drilling planned for 2020?
We're hoping to do greater than 50,000 meters, probably more in the range of 75,000. By the end of 2019, we will have completed 40,000 meters on our original 25,000 meter drilling budget. So very inexpensive drilling here. We can do a lot of work with limited capital, and we're really excited about the future.
Yeah, you bet. I am too for you guys, Kelly. Well, that's great. We'll leave it there for now. We'll have you back soon, and hopefully we'll be on site soon enough with cameras rolling.
Right on. That'd be great.
Thanks for joining me, Kelly.
Appreciate it.
If you're enjoying the show, subscribe to Midas Letter on YouTube so you stay up to date on everything investment. So a district scale discovery.
Key word you're using here. This should whet the appetites of anybody who's looking to make money.
Any gold bugs that are still alive.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. You look at what's happening with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's rallied back strongly to over $10,000 now.
Has it rallied back to 10?
Yeah, and then you look at gold, which as of today has now somewhat in the crapper, down to 1470s.
It's down about $80 from the peak.
Yeah,
$85 from the peak.
But mind you, this is consistent with the government manipulation system. At the end of the quarter, they try to catch all of the call options, guys, and sweep them. Then tomorrow it'll start to rally again. I think today's probably a great day to buy gold.
Probably is. And you know what? And either you believe that gold broke out a couple months ago, and yet that's by looking at the 10-year chart and looking at that base period, and it definitely breached its resistance level. So if that's the main belief, then any real significant pullback should be an entry point.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. But the other day I was beating the thing, hey, gold's going up. Well, it was 1440, and I'm telling everybody, look at this chart. Today, what is it? 1370. No. So there's $70 gone just like that. And that's enough to take the nugget from about $37 down to $28.
Really? What did the dust do?
The dust is now 8.25, and it was down to 6. There's 25% right there.
No kidding.
Doesn't take long.
Huh. So the dust, is not yet settled.
Look, we're at the month end now. So tomorrow a new quarter. So let's see if they, set up a different game for this next month. The game this month was be short gold, and this month's over. So let's see. They've cleared the decks, or what do they call it?
I'm looking at a picture now, going back to the Amex. This is what visible gold looks like in core.
Yeah.
Typically, visible gold is a positive development in drill core because it's indicative that the gold is potentially freely millable. Meaning that there's no expensive cyanide circuits or difficult cyanide circuits. Metallurgy tends to be easier where visible gold is seen.
Right.
This is obviously in quartz, and it's looking bloody beautiful. So we're going to go and look at this property.
Yeah.
And it's quite a spectacular thing. So this is one of the, if we look at the price of gold right now, let's see. Wow, I couldn't even think there for a second. I think I had a senior's moment, or rather of AMX. So AMX exploration.
It's off today. Gold's off today, but Amex was
13.
It was down to about 95 cents, 98 cents, a dollar, and 87 cents a month ago.
Yeah.
And here we are, right in there. It was down about 87 cents. But look, this took out this high, but it's pulled back. We got a big, I think from where I sit, these Bollinger Bands are turning up. This thing's turning up. So nice pullback, good entry level, especially if this becomes a scale. What do you call it? A district scale.
District scale
discovery.
Mining. Yeah.
Look, we're going to talk about this as time goes on.
I'm sure we will. Well, we're going to go to the property pretty quick here. Did you know that you could fly from Billy Bishop, go to the property, have lunch, and be back in Billy Bishop, downtown Toronto by 4:30 in the afternoon?
This whole thing is set up. Would you fly to Val-d'Or? Is that where you fly?
I don't know. I haven't been yet.
I'm pretty sure you do. But I'm not entirely. But yeah, they have a great airport in Val-d'Or. And you don't have to drive to the elevator. Like they say, well, is it easy to get to the property? Yeah, we can drive right to the helicopter. Like when you got to use a helicopter, it gets a lot more expensive.
Yeah, and a lot more dangerous.
Oh yeah.
Slow news day at the
Monday.
Wall Street Journal. Their center front page feature is how PetSmart swallowed Chewy and proved the doubters wrong.
Really?
Yeah. Kind of a slow news day.
How's your dog doing, by the way?
Dogs.
Well, the one dog that had the issue I was thinking about.
Oh, the dog that had the adult onset alopecia X has been cured thanks to CBD. Get this, I told my brother about it. He gave his dog CBD. This dog had a skin problem and a nervousness issue. Nervousness is gone, skin condition cleared up within 1 week of starting CBD.
When dogs are on marijuana, do they bark differently? Like they go, roof, roof, because they're sort of relaxed?
One more time. I can't quite get the character.
I've made a fool of myself for long enough.
Yeah, well, they bark differently. Yeah.
Flower did a financing recently at $4. It's now $2.74.
Yeah, boy. I mean,
now you remember when a company like that needs more money, and they say, well, how did the last one go? Well, we raised it.
Yeah. You know what's funny is watching these guys who the only place they made their money, any money in the last decade, is in cannabis, and the only place they're going to plow it back into is cannabis, thereby guaranteeing their loss of that money made, which is really
par for the course.
Par for the course.
And if you're good enough to hold it all the way through, like let's say you held Canopy all the way
from $2
to 70, or say 60,
and
you still hold it, you just might hold it all the way down too. Because my problem is I could never hold on long enough. Because I was take the money. But then I'd go back in. Finally, I'd get in there right at the top. And then I'd
wipe out all those wins.
Geez.
Yeah, the only way to lock in a win for a person like myself, and I'm quite sure for yourself, is to take the money off the table and put it into something else.
Like real estate.
Not a bad idea.
Hey! You ever think about buying some land?
I've thought about it quite heavily.
Yeah.
I was thinking of going into the breeding of prize pigs. I mean, have you ever heard of anybody raising prize pigs?
Why don't you get a pig that's scared, and then it'll be a surprised pig?
A surprised
boy. Or somebody that a pig that's up to date on current events, he would be a prized pig.
Okay, give me 5 quick reactions, up or down. Gold this week.
Up.
Cannabis industry.
Trying to find a short-term bottom.
Real estate.
You know what? People want to move to this part of the world because it's still
biotech.
Don't know. I don't know biotech.
Up or down? It's not is not an answer.
I'll say, well, what about no change?
No change. That's an answer.
Okay.
No change?
Okay, what else?
Wine gums.
Wine gums?
Yeah. Up or down?
Wine.
Who owns wine gums?
You do.
No. We ate them all.
Oh, yeah. My tummy.
Anyways, wine gums owned by Maynard's. Who owns Maynard's? Nestle?
Maynard's is a good line of wine gums.
Maynard's is the only line of wine gums.
They got a monopoly?
Well, no, they don't have monopoly.
Oh, it's 4 o'clock.
There's
I don't
generic
talk
wine
anymore.
gums. There's 4 o'clock. You're finished talking? Ed's finished talking. There's our show for the day. We hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to sign up on the website at MidasLetter.com. We'll see you all tomorrow.